Hey guys, welcome back. JE Live, and we're doing the Q&A format once again in this off season, in this slower moving off season. We'll be answering your questions, comments, concerns. Hope everyone is enjoying their Tuesday, whether it's a Taco Tuesday or whatever Tuesday tradition you have. Appreciate you guys spending Tuesday night with me. So let's get into it. For those of you who have any questions, be sure to drop them, and I will be answering them. What's up, the real goat? Appreciate you. You love the new Q&A thumbnail. That's awesome because I did not think it was my best work, but I thought it was all right. Appreciate you with the kind words there. Johnny, you need a link. I can hit you up with that momentarily. I'll drop that in the comments section. What's goody, Jake? Hope all is well, brother. What's up, Hilltop? Hope all is well with you as well. And not much really, just just chilling for the most part. But let's see here. I'm gonna drop. That is the link to become a channel member. So, if you're interested in that, Johnny, there it is. Hope everyone's having a great Tuesday, and hopefully has some questions for me. Otherwise, I don't have a ton on my mind. I'm just, I need you guys to set the plate. You guys need to set that table. Let me know what we should talk about, whether it's, the Rams, what you think they'll do in the off season, the USFL, a TV show I should watch, anything, literally anything. You guys can let me know in that regard. So, yeah, this is your show. I'm just here. I'm just here to facilitate it. What's up, Rusty? How we doing? I'm gonna be doing this. At least try to do it every night in some capacity. So we'll see. But that's the hope, is that it's gonna be an every night thing. The hope, of course. I see we got some people watching on Facebook, and I do have those comments this time. I have to bring up Facebook every time I do it. Tostada day, changing it up today. Yeah. Yeah, it's, I don't know why it keeps saying that I'm playing Elden Ring, because I'm not, but, is what it is, I guess. Can't be perfect. Rusty, thank you for becoming a member. I appreciate you. What do I think? What do I think with what's going on with baseball? Yeah, let's start with that. Well, I think Rob Manfred is a complete and utter tool bag. Let's just start there. This hasn't happened. I don't think a lockout has happened in quite some time. I know there was a strike in, I think, 95, 94, close to that. Maybe I'm wrong on the date, but there's been strikes before. To me, I just think, at the end of the day, Rob Manfred has failed. He's failed baseball. He's failed the sport. And you could say what you will about the players asking for too much money and the owners being too greedy and all of that. I think everyone is wrong, but I think Rob Manfred, who is the commissioner of this league, is the one to have the most blame. Should have the most blame. I think he's the problem, and I think until Rob Manfred's gone, you're not going to be able to, get this thing, going. And I think here's the big issue with baseball is that no matter what anyone says, baseball's not in the greatest shape. We talk about it. Oh, well, it's America's pastime. I mean, I'll be real with you. I think, baseball does a way better job at preserving history than, say, football does, because, NFL football does not preserve history well. They don't even count championships that were before the Super Bowl era, so that's all you need to know. But, to me, when looking at baseball, you're not doing well ratings-wise. You're not doing well. Kids are growing up and they're seeing Steph Curry shoot those threes, and they're wanting to be like Steph Curry. Or they're seeing a guy, like Kyler Murray, who's 5'8", maybe a bad choice right now based on what he's doing. But the point is, he's a smaller athlete showing you that he can play the quarterback position in the NFL. We're seeing all different types. We're seeing Aaron Donald, who was basically passed on by 12 teams, including the team that drafted him. before he was drafted 13th overall in the 2014 NFL draft. And he was, basically passed up on because of his size. People had size concerns. They said he was too short to play defensive tackle. And now here he is. He's barely got an ounce of body fat on him as a defensive tackle. And he's the best player maybe to ever play the sport. And then you're looking at hockey and you're seeing what, guys, like Connor McDavid can do for the sport. And, kids are wanting to grow up and be that, and then it's just all over the place. Soccer, I mean, that's the thing, is that baseball is putting themselves in jeopardy, and that's really what it comes down to. Baseball is just putting themselves in jeopardy. They're not big enough at this point in time. They don't have enough momentum to play this hardball approach. If they can't get a deal done and there's no baseball this year, it could be detrimental to the future of the game. And for the purists out there that are complaining about the idea of them, adding a pitch clock and a strike zone, automated strike zone, all of that, like, okay, like I get that. But if that's the reason, if you'd rather not have baseball than have those things, I don't know what to tell you. So for me, I was really into baseball. Many of you may know, many of you may not know. Baseball was my passion. It's what I wanted to do when I grew up from a young age. Then, slowly but surely, I stopped caring about baseball. The more I played it, I just didn't like the way it had become. And, it sounds lame, but as soon as I started, playing travel and stuff, I just realized I didn't like the sport as much as I thought I did. And, I guess that is lame to a degree, but football really was always my passion just based on how much I really cared about when it was playing. Whereas, I mean, I'm not going to lie. I'm a Yankee fan. I used to watch every Yankee game. The last 3 years, I don't know if I've watched 50 Yankee games, let alone 25 Yankee games. It's just the way it is. It doesn't interest me as much anymore. And to be honest with you, the games take so long. And, I think it gets kind of boring after a while. I mean, I can't sit there and watch NFL and at any point get bored. I mean, sure, punting over and over again is annoying and, sure, like whatever. But I mean, I guess the thing that I'm trying to make here is defense in the NFL is exciting. It can be exciting. The big hits, the interceptions, the sacks, all of that. In baseball, it's like strikeouts. They're exciting, but they're exciting if it's your team, And so for me, I don't know. I've just never really like I used to care, but with everything going on with Rob Manfred, I've never liked him. I think he's the worst commissioner. I think he's worse than Gary Bettman, who has literally fallen asleep at his own hockey games. But I just think it's upsetting, and I think of it in terms of this. Okay, I don't worry about the players because sorry, but like, what was it? Mike Trout's making $400 million across a 10-year contract or something. Like, I'm not worried about his financial stability. But I am worried about, content creators like myself that focus on baseball. So think about that. You watch me and you watch me do what I do with, the NFL and the Rams and all of that. And then all of a sudden, just one day, really what ends up happening is, there's a lockout. And now all of a sudden I can't cover the Rams. Like, I mean, I can cover them, but there's not going to be really any news. And all of a sudden, doing this full time and freelancing, it now becomes a taxing chore. And it's going to be really hard to put out content because there's no football to put out content for. Well, that's what baseball content creators are going through right now, is that basically, if they've put their heart and soul into this, and you've seen, I mean, YouTube literally punishes you if you try to be multifaceted on their channel. So, the algorithm punishes you. It's why I have a gaming channel now separate, because I was getting punished and it was hurting my regular views. So, I think that's one thing to keep in mind, is that that's who you should feel bad for. The baseball content creators, the guys that, maybe, even the front office guys, maybe they're not making as much as you would think. Maybe the scouts, scouts. I mean, scouting is a tough business. You scout in any sport, you're on the road constantly. It's hard to have a family, things like that. So, I think just there's a lot that goes into it, but I do feel for those type of people. And they've already been through this lockout BS, with like, not obviously the lockout, but with COVID. So it's just a really bad look. And I think Rob Manfred has to go for it to be somewhat fixed. But for the time being, there's not going to be baseball for a while. We'll see. That's a great question. I'm glad you brought that up. But now you are our Ram intellectual connection to what's going on with our Rams. Well, I appreciate you, Dan Pa, over on Facebook. I really appreciate the kind words there. Let's see here. So we got. Hey Jake, wanted to ask you this: if you were a GM, which one would you rather draft, Kayvon Thibodeau or Aiden Hutchinson? That is a great question, and I will answer that momentarily. But thank you so much, AZZA, for donating. Really do appreciate it. Hey Jake, thought you were going to shave the beard once the Rams won the Super Bowl. So that there's a story behind that. One of you guys, I forget who it was, but I said I won't shave until the Rams win the Super Bowl, and so they're like they didn't believe that I believed that they would win the Super Bowl. So I said that, and they're like, "All right, put your money where your mouth is." And like if really like you're not going to be able to shave if they lose, if they don't win the Super Bowl. And now I actually like the cup beard. I've been growing it, so I've been keeping it, and it needs to be like obviously shaped a little bit better. Like right now, it doesn't look all that great, but um, I think I'm gonna leave it as it is. I know it's weird. I mean, it wasn't like an actual bet, and it's honestly kind of the opposite, but I'm gonna stay it anyway. So that's that's that. But yeah, it's funny that you pointed that out. Anyway, going back to what Kellen Alexander said, I would take Kayvon Thibodeau. I think a lot of people are getting up on Aiden Hutchinson, but like from what I've seen, I think Kayvon Thibodeau is the guy that I would take number one overall in this draft. I like him the most. I think he has the highest ceiling. I haven't gotten into the draft the way I'd want to at this point in the season. Just been doing a lot of things, and honestly, I underestimated how hard I worked this past year. Like normally, it's just like, oh, it's no big deal. On to the next, draft season, yada yada. It took a lot out of me. So I've been taking some time away in a sense. I went on vacation, spent some time to clear my mind, and then on top of it, when I came back, like the content I was doing, I'm doing Rams content, sure, but I'm also doing that gaming content, which is more of it's a way for me to kind of relax a little bit while also putting out some content, stuff like that. So I mean, at some point I'll be able to tell you for sure, but like right now I would say Kayvon Thibodeau from what I've seen. But that's a good question. Westitch, what's up? Not much, just chilling here. Appreciate you spending your Tuesday night with me. Really do appreciate that. Pineapples, how we doing? Loyal Rammy. No, I will not be a Dodgers fan. I do not like the LA Dodgers. I just don't. So, I think a big reason why I don't like the Dodgers, because I have a Dodgers hat somewhere from like when I was a kid. And, I was a fan of the Dodgers. They were like my second favorite team back when, they had Don Mattingly, because I always wanted Don Mattingly to be the baseball, manager for the Rams, for the Yankees. This is why I'm all, confused talking about baseball. My brain's trying to think Rams all of a sudden. So, that's a big reason for me, when they got rid of, when they got rid of Mattingly, and I don't feel like they spent anywhere near as much money or gave him anywhere near as much of a shot as Roberts. So I'm kind of bitter about that, and I don't think that's going to change because I think Mattingly's a hell of a manager. I mean, he's proven it, and I'm still bitter about the Yankees choosing Girardi and Boone over him, to be honest with you. But that's just me. But no, I won't be a Dodgers fan. I'll be Yankee fan, and that's going to be it. I don't really follow the MLB the way I used to. I used to follow the MLB and know every pitching rotation, bullpen, and lineup in the league the way I know like every offensive line, in the NFL. I mean that was me, but no longer me anymore. Like learning about history of 1951 NFL championship. It was the first title for LA for Southern California. 70 years later, it happens again. Julio, I agree with you, and I just think that at the end of the day, I don't think the NFL's done a good job of preserving that. Like, who really knows that? I constantly put that out there, the 1951 and 45 titles, because I'm tired of, it getting totally overlooked. When people are like, this is our first championship in LA. No, it's not. It's your first Super Bowl in LA. You won a championship in LA, And a big reason for that was the greatest show on grass, Bob Waterfield and Norm Van Brocklin, the duo, basically the platoon quarterback duo for the Rams. with Joe Stidahar as the head coach. To me, I feel like that's history that needs to be, talked about. And Crazy Legs Hirsch, I always bring him up, and Tom Fears, those guys. I mean, that's just incredible history that no one talks about. And it just bothers me so much that like NFL history doesn't matter to some people because it's not preserved well. I mean, I get that, but I just, here's the thing. You look at the WWE, the way they have their archive set up, you can go back and watch all the matches on a streaming platform. You have Hulu, you have Disney Plus, you have all these streaming platforms. Why has NFL not realized how simple it is to make a lot of money? Because they love making money. That's why they continue to, sign off on that terrible DirecTV, agreement, basically a monopoly agreement with DirecTV, which is just absolutely terrible. The Sunday ticket, it's just garbage. DirecTV is just horrible, but it's why they do that, is for the money. But here's the thing. If the NFL really wanted to do something to make a lot of money and have a lot of happy customers/consumers, they would do this. They would create NFL Plus. NFL Plus would be a streaming platform that would allow you to watch any game from any era at any given time that's in the archive. I understand some of these games may not be in the archive. I understand some are probably older than others. Like if we're talking about the Boston Patriots, maybe they don't have those games. Okay, fine. But they should have the championship games. They should have, the very notable, like the 45 championship game, the Rams and Browns, the 51 championship game. They should have all of those. They should have all of the fearsome foursome era Rams stuff. They should have all of that stuff. The Purple People Eaters. Like you should be able to go back and you should be able to watch all those games, and that's how you preserve history. Tell me right now that you wouldn't pay monthly for a platform like that. Because to me, at the end of the day, that is what the NFL is missing. If they had an NFL Plus streaming service that would allow you to go back and watch any game at any given time with, the broadcast crew there, it's just basically the same game. And then more like, recently be allowed to watch all 22 if they have the all 22 film. Like who wouldn't want that? Because to me, that would be amazing. So I just don't understand why the NFL hasn't done that. I understand it's harder to do than you would think, but they've had plenty of time and they haven't made the effort, and they haven't preserved history enough. So that's just my I could go on and on and on about that, but that's what I'll say about that. Interceptions aren't fun for everyone. That's true. I mean, they're exciting though when it's not your team. Baseball is mid, to be honest. I mean, it's become that way. How I become a member, Johnny, I put the link right there. You just click that link. What's up, Nolan? How we doing? You haven't saved your beard? Just had it groomed? Yeah, I had to save it. I like it. I mean, like I said, it has to be shaped a little bit and, trimmed or whatever, but I do like it. I am a Laker fan. I have no idea what they're doing, but I think it's getting to the point where you actually have to ask the question, if the Lakers can't win a title this year, I mean, do you trade Anthony Davis and LeBron James? To me, like if they don't even make the playoffs 100%, I mean, I would trade Anthony Davis because I think at the end of the day, Anthony Davis is a liability. And as great as Anthony Davis is, he's never healthy. It doesn't matter if it's this freak thing. It's always a freak thing. He doesn't put himself in good positioning. And so for that reason, we have that issue, is that he is injury prone. I mean, let's just call it like it is. The Lakers cannot count on Anthony Davis. They're in a very pivotal stretch in the second half of their season, and they look like dog water because one of their best players that they've traded the farm for is not playing. And this is another thing. It's almost like Tampa. Notice the Lakers and the Bucks are the same. I mean, you could say right now Tom Brady and LeBron James are very similar. Like LeBron James is the Tom Brady of the NBA, right? Well, if you say that, then it makes a lot of sense because Tampa, they basically went out of harm's way to go and get Tom Brady. They didn't deal the farm, but they literally went all in with Tom Brady. And now they're probably going to lose a lot of those guys. We just saw, what's his face retire. Forget his name. But you get my point. So, I almost remembered it. Ali Marpet. There we go. Ali Marpet retired at age 28. They're going to lose all those guys in free agency. Gronk is probably going to leave. Like, Antonio Brown lost his mind. You get my point. So then you look at, the Lakers and you look at LeBron, and it was even more. They basically threw everything to win a title. And this is not a Lakers team that has done that to that degree. Obviously, because they traded for Kobe Bryant, who never played any games with New Orleans. They traded for him, Vlade Divac for Kobe. They didn't trade for a star. They didn't, sell the farm for a star. They traded a veteran, a very good veteran player for Kobe Bryant. This high school kid that could be a star, but we didn't know. So now it's, now you go out, you trade away Kyle Kuzma, you trade away Brandon Ingram and Josh Hart and Lonzo Ball, and now all you have to show for it is a very injury-prone Anthony Davis, a great point guard in Russell Westbrook that simply just isn't being utilized correctly and does not fit their system, and LeBron James, who looks like he might want to leave at some point. I think it's a very real possibility that both Tampa Bay and the Los Angeles Lakers completely fall off a cliff. I think it's entirely a real possibility. I hate to say it, but I really do believe that. So, I will definitely put that out there in the world. As much as I love the Lakers, as much as I wouldn't be surprised if they came back and, had a really good run, because all it takes is you get to the playoffs and anything can happen in that series. I just don't have a good feeling. If they don't make the playoffs, they have to retool. And I think that's the thing there. So, sorry, Charlotte Hornets, not New Orleans. But I knew what I was talking about. I just, by accident, I said New Orleans twice. Anyway, Forbidden West is really good. I just got so hooked on Elden Ring that I really just haven't been able to play it. Yeah, bro, you said you were going to shave after the dub at the Super Bowl. Yeah, I planned on it, and then I actually ended up liking the look. I did shave. I shaved the mustache a little bit, as you can. I mean, the mustache was getting ridiculous, so yeah. Um, let's see. How did I become a Rams fan? To make a long story short, my dad was next door neighbors with Jim Youngblood, and so he raised me to become a Rams fan. I mean, that's making the story really short, but that in short, that's what it was. Would you pick up Dante Fowler, who was released, and think about trading Floyd? No. I wouldn't trade Floyd. I would consider picking up Fowler, but there's no reason to trade Floyd. He's on a very good contract. His $20 million cap hit will come back down to, I think, $650 this year once they restructure him like they're expected to do. So no, I'm not getting rid of Floyd. He's played an incredible role, and he's been a integral part of this defense taking that next step. That was two franchises that originated in Ohio. So I'm really not upset about that Super Bowl. What I am upset about is LA fans acting like they didn't trade their Bosas for Donalds. Can you explain that for me? Because I don't really understand what you're saying. I talk about the 51 championship because, but I think pre-Super Bowl national championship, but it's about some of the clubs not allowing backs in the game, plus no AFL merger team competition. Yeah, but tell me right now, if the AFL did merge back then, you could take what team was beating the Greatest Show on Grass? I mean, that was the year that Norm Van Brocklin set a single game record. Keep in mind, he was splitting time with Bob Waterfield at quarterback, who was one of the superstars of the league, and Van Brocklin threw over 530-something yards. I mean, no one has beaten that. That record has stood for over 60 years. You know what I mean? So it's one of those things to me where I'm like, okay, they didn't have the greatest competition, but even if they did, who was going to beat that team? For real, who was going to beat the Greatest Show on Grass? I couldn't tell you. Um, let's see. The man, the myth, the legend, Nolan. It's like watching snails race. Kobe was originally drafted. Yeah, I saw that. Jake, let's pretend the Rams have a first round draft pick. Who you picking at number 32? I don't know if he'd be there, but I'd definitely love to get Sauce Gardner. Guys, I'm going to be honest with you. I really need to get into the draft more. It's been hard because you're riding the high of a Super Bowl win and then also trying to build a new channel because YouTube penalizes you if you try to stream games when you're using a sports channel. The algorithm, I can't stress it enough, is just bad for small content creators. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. When you get big enough, you can eventually stream about anything. You could talk about anything, it doesn't matter, but it's not until you get really big, and I'm nowhere near that. So, but not the link to become a member. That's weird. Let me get that for you. Maybe that's a. Let's see. I'm gonna check that out. 1 second. I know I dog on YouTube, but I really do like YouTube. I appreciate the platform it's given me and the opportunities. I just think that there needs to be fine tuning, and there's things that aren't, you know, there's things that aren't set up enough, so to speak. Like, I don't think you should be penalized for being a multifaceted content creator. I don't. I don't think you should lose viewership because of that, but that's the way it is, Just the way it is. Yeah, I'm looking for the correct link. I mean, this should be it. Oh wait, no, that's merchandise. 1 second. Membership. Okay, so this should be it. If you want to join and become a member of my channel, that should be it. And if that's not it, then man, YouTube needs to fix that because that's what they're giving me. Michael, I don't think the Rams will re-sign Sony Michel. I think he's going to be too expensive. I think teams are going to want him. They're going to want to pay him to be their starting running back potentially. So I don't see him coming. Uh, if not, will they sign a free agent? I would not be surprised if they do. And if they do, I would be all for going out after a guy like Cordero Patterson or Kalen Balaj on the cheaper option or the mid-tier option, because I think you look at Patterson's the most expensive. He's probably in that same tier with like James Conner. And then right around this tier is where you're going to get a guy like a Jerick McKinnon or, a Raheem Mostert. And then right below here, really with the cheap, but like the boomer, or not boomer bust, but like cheap, pretty good value option. This is your Kalen Balaj of the world, your Malcolm Brown, your Philip Lindsay. They're right here. Right here again, Jerick McKinnon, Raheem Mostert, and right here is Cordell Patterson, James Conner. I'd probably say Patterson's more valuable than James Conner. James Conner just has a nose for the end zone, and I think if the Rams got him, that red zone offense would be unbelievable because he just constantly scores touchdowns. He'd be like having Todd Gurley back in a sense at the goal line anyway, because that's one thing I noticed that, let's call it like it is. Cam Akers struggles at the goal line. He just does, and I would hope he gets better, but I don't know for sure if he will. So maybe that makes sense. But Cordero Patterson also has a nose for the end zone and the goal line. Can return kicks. You can have Brandon Powell return punts. They're different types of games right there because keep in mind, just because you're a great punt returner doesn't mean that you're going to be a great kick returner. It's a completely different thing. You're lined up differently. You're more lined up as like a regular play as a punt returner, whereas as a kick returner, the field is spread out more, and it's always a centralized, spread out field. Whereas punt returner, it's not really always spread out. It seems to be like, you get more, pushed in, so to speak. You get more cramped. So that's something worth saying. Johnny, thank you so much for joining. Really appreciate your support. We're at 34 premium channel members. Really do appreciate you guys. You guys are great. Bucks with Gabbert under center. Good luck with that. Oh, yeah, that's not going to be good. The beard Jake just feels right. Was tired of shaving, leaving me with a baby face. I hear you. Why the F would they trade Floyd, bro? Come on. Getting rid of WWE champion Floyd would be insane. I've lived in LA for 11 years. Nobody here cares about the Rams. It's all about the Chargers. Nobody cared. That's when the Rams mad if they claimed the Rams. Wait, are you serious? People care about the Chargers? I've been to LA 3 times, and I don't remember seeing a Chargers fan. Like, period. Like, I mean, I don't remember seeing a Chargers fan, period. I saw Raiders fans, Niners fans, Patriots fans, Packers fans, Saints fans, Washington, at the time Redskins, now Commanders fans. But I do not remember seeing a Chargers fan. Yes, bring back the 1951 Rams uniform. All for that. Greatest Show on Turf beats the Greatest Show on Grass. Flexes guns. Mentions Night Train Lane. I mean, Night Train Lane. Hold on a second. I need to make sure. Yeah, Night Train was the year after. For whatever reason, the Rams traded Night Train Lane. Because, having 14 interceptions in your rookie year wasn't good enough. And then having 3 the next year in a touchdown, they traded him to the Chicago Cardinals. You realize that, right? Night Train Lane only played 2 seasons with the Rams. I mean, it's just, that has to be like one of the dumbest moves that they made. But that's why the Rams didn't have sustained success. If you go back and you look at the Rams, this organization has a history of blowing up good things. So that's why having a guy like Sean McVay and Les Snead and all that, I mean, like, that's why it's so welcoming, because they're not blowing this thing up. But I mean, you look at like the Rams, like with Joe Stidhar, like they pissed him off. They went out and got Poole, who had one good year. I forget, it's Howland Poole, I think. He had one good year, and then he like drove away. I mean, Bob Waterfield became a head coach and was awful, but he drove away Norm Van Brocklin, And I mean, like, the Rams, they've had a history of this. Greatest Show on Turf, Kurt Warner driving him out, driving out Stidhar, who was literally like the godfather of the Greatest Show on Grass. Fearsome Foursome, I mean, just there's so many different things where they had a chance to be, maybe not a dynasty in every one of those, but, they had a chance to be really good, and they blew it. Simple as that. Unfortunate. Very unfortunate. Crayon addict among us. Yeah, Sauce Gardner will be gone in the middle of the first round, I think. So I'm with you there. Who would you rather have on the Rams, J.C. Jackson or Stephon Gilmore? I mean, J.C. Jackson all day, every day. He's a top 5 corner in football. He's better than Xavier Howard. I think he's right up there. You talk about Ramsey, Marlon Humphrey, Jair Alexander. I think J.C. Jackson's like 4-3. He's one of those guys. I think he's one of the best corners in football. I also think The kid that the Falcons got is really damn good. Out of Clemson. I'm forgetting his name right now. Sure, someone will point him out, but do you think it's time to trade Higbee while he has some value? No. No, there's no point of trading Higbee. There's no point of trading any of these guys, What's up, Peo? Question: Orlando Pace or Big Wit? Who impressed you more career total? That's a tough one. I mean, I think Orlando Pace was probably more dominant. Like Whitworth, people forget Whitworth early on with the Bengals struggled with injuries. And when he struggled, Anthony Collins, and I remember him because Anthony Collins was the left tackle for the Kansas Jayhawks that won the Orange Bowl. Yes, I know. Believe it or not, Kansas won the freaking Orange Bowl. But, I remember watching Anthony Collins take over for him, and obviously, he played well. But, Whitworth had some, yeah, thank you, AJ Terrell. Whitworth had some injury concerns, and then he got really, really good. And I think Whitworth is probably the more athletic. He can get to the second level and even the third level. I mean, the guy is a freak. Orlando Pace was the more dominant as far as, I guess the way I would look at Whitworth is he was like, Tim Duncan, and Orlando Pace was like Shaq. Like, Tim Duncan was consistent. Tim Duncan could be dominant, but Shaq broke the game. Like, they literally had to put in rules to minimize Shaq's impact on the game. I believe they put in the 3-second rule in the key because Shaq he just destroyed the game. I'm going to check that out right now. Let's see. No, they put in some rule. Okay. So, I mean, Shaq used to literally break backboards, so that was a thing. The hand checking rule. Yeah, I'm looking it up right now. There was something that I'm missing. 3 seconds in the key was a thing from like the 30s, but I think they refined it with Shaq. I mean, in a way, he also changed it because the hack of Shaq, because he couldn't hit a free throw. But yeah, I just that's how I look at Whitworth and Pace. Pace was so dominant. I think Whitworth lasted longer, And Pace went to the Bears and wasn't as good. But I think Whitworth was more consistent, whereas Pace was more dominant, if that makes sense. But that's a great question. Never shaved the beard gang. Thanks, Nolan. Dick Lane is the greatest cornerback in Rams history. It's pretty much undebatable. I mean, he was only there for 2 years, and I mean, he was just incredible. The fact that they traded him to the Chicago Cardinals. Yeah, Chicago Cardinals. The fact they traded him there just makes no sense to me. None. What's up, Jake? What's up, Ramley? What's up, Ray? Yeah. Well, Stan Kroenke is doing what owners should do. Say what you will about him. I think obviously there's people that would disagree and they would hate on him, and I understand. Certain people from St. Louis don't like him. But hear me out when I say this. Stan Kroenke foots the bill. Like, do you remember when Khalil Mack won Defensive Player of the Year over Aaron Donald? Shouldn't have, but did win. the Raiders were a playoff team, and then they traded Khalil Mack away. Do you remember why? Because they wouldn't pay him. It's not that his salary wouldn't have fit into the salary cap, because it would have. It was that the owner, Mark Davis, refused to pay Khalil Mack. Now, I'm not saying he was wrong for that, because I personally think that at the end of the day, Khalil Mack was probably a big waste of money for the Bears. I don't think he's lived up to the contract. I think he's had, a year or two where he's been dominant, but for the most part, he fell off very quickly. I mean, I would take Leonard Floyd over him right now. I don't care how good Khalil Mack is when healthy. He's never healthy, and the Bears have nothing to show for having him. But I guess my point here is that, the Raiders owner, Mark Davis, would not front the bill. Whereas you have an owner in Stan Kroenke that essentially does not care how much he has to spend. He's willing to open up the checkbook and give the guy his due. That's why Aaron Donald was paid. That's why Robert Woods got a extension on his contract, because if you remember, Robert Woods' contract was up soon. They gave him a raise after they got him on a really good deal. Then they gave him another raise. They signed Cooper Kupp long term. By the way, how genius does that move look? By the way, getting Cooper Kupp when they did. I mean, that signing him to that contract right before was just massive. But yeah, that's why I think he has been pretty good. Payo question: if you were to start a pirate crew with Rams player, past or present, what 5 players do you pick to form the greatest pirate crew? I'm not really a pirate guy. I mean, I think, Pirates of the Caribbean is kind of cool. Those movies I really want to get into more. I think I've only seen like the last one and the first one. I know, kind of weird. So I wouldn't know the first thing of like what a good crew would look like, but I would just pick like Aaron Donald. I'd pick Jalen Ramsey. I'd pick Greg Gaines. I would pick maybe Nick Scott, Whitworth, and Odell. I don't know. Those are just the names that I thought of when you said pirate crew. Not really sure why. I mean, my allegiance isn't with the Rams, but man, Ernest Jones, that kid impressed me so much. He played out of his mind in the Super Bowl. Yeah, Westish, I absolutely agree with you. You're absolutely right. Ernest Jones, and keep this in mind, Ernest Jones came off an injury. Like, this guy comes off a high ankle sprain. And then all of a sudden, so he comes off a high ankle sprain, and then he plays in the Super Bowl, and he balls out. Like, I mean, think about that. If he doesn't, bat that pass down, maybe Ramsey bats it down or whatever. But if he doesn't, and Ramsey doesn't bat it down and does get caught, that's a first down for Cincy on a 4th down conversion. That is a momentum mover for them. You move the chains, you gain the momentum early on. Like that, that would have been something. So, no, he had a really good game, and the sack too, where, you have Joe Mixon with the blitz pick up, and I mean, he hits him right in the legs, and, this guy was not going to be stopped, and Ernest Jones is able to stay on his feet, go after Burrow, and make a play. You love to see it. So, I mean, maybe not you, Westish. I know you're a Bengals fan, but I appreciate you being in here nonetheless. Jackson would be scary. I agree with that. AJ Terrell. I'd take Gilmore for the low. I agree with that. Yeah, AJ Terrell's filthy. Do you see the Rams going after a punter in the draft? I do not. No. I think they'll keep Hecker. I don't see why not. He took a pay cut and really isn't getting paid that much. So, and he had a really good second half of the season. So, if the Rams broke the bank for J.C. Jackson, I'd be all for it. I mean, J.C. Jackson's a long-term piece, and you add him with Jalen Ramsey, who's also a long-term piece. Dear God. I think the one thing the Rams are really missing is that Jalen Ramsey isn't the ball hawk that, he's not a shutdown, lockdown corner. Like, he's a shutdown, lockdown corner. He's not a ball hawk, so to speak. Like, he can make those plays, but he's never going to give you a season where he has 10 interceptions. Plus, he's not thrown to enough. But if you had J.C. Jackson, where are you targeting? Are you going at Jalen Ramsey, who's going to shut you down? Or are you going to go at J.C. Jackson, who is going to take 10 interceptions, in a season? I think that really might be what they're missing. And I think they missed it big time because I mean, their leading interceptions, their leaders were Jalen Ramsey with 4 and Taylor Rapp with 4. Like they were missing this year. They were missing the Darius Williams interceptions he had last year. So that's what I'll say in that regard. So I'd be okay with it for sure. Rams quarterbacks: 1, Kurt Warner; 2, Matthew Stafford; 3, Roman Gabriel; 4, Bob Waterfield. I think of each in their primes playing in today's era. Yeah, I mean, I think Van Brocklin, and here's the weird thing. As far as a passer, Van Brocklin is way better than Bob Waterfield. But Bob Waterfield was like what Taysom Hill is in this league, like if Taysom Hill was back in the day. Like Waterfield did everything. And I think that's something that should go a long way. So, I mean, I would probably say top 5, you know. But at one point or another, we were looking at Jared Goff potentially being in that top 5, and now he's gone, so he'll never get that chance. But yeah, Stafford, I think, is 2. Oh, I hear you. I would love if the USFL started in March. I mean, I know they're going to. Like they're starting camp in March, but, Scott, that's a good question. I doubt it because I just don't feel like at any point Fitzgerald felt like he was retired. I felt like he still wasn't, maybe I could come back, maybe not. There's this disconnect. But that's a good question. Need to add Brick Scott. Makes sense about pace and wit. Fitz is 38, though. Where do you predict Robert Pattinson fits in all-time Batman tier pre-movie prediction? Well, I'll tell you this right now. Robert Pattinson could sneeze, could fall on his face, could throw up, could take a crap in the opening credits or whatever, and he would still be the greatest Batman, like by far better than, well, not greatest. He'd be by far the best Batman, that's like as long as you don't, like, hold on a sec. I'm totally out of sorts. No. I have an idea of what I'm trying to say, and I'm just not saying it the right way. Okay. I mean, Robert Pattinson could fall flat on his face in the first scene, and he would be an astronomically better Batman than George Clooney. That is the worst portrayal of the character you could possibly have. So that is that. So we know he's better than Clooney. So now we look. Is he going to be better than Val Kilmer? I don't know. I mean, I think he could. I think he will, actually. Michael Keaton, that's tough. I mean, also, and I mean, West is like, what, that was like comedy, man. Like, you can't even compare Adam, like, I don't know. You can't even compare that. So I'm not going to say Adam West. I mean, I appreciate Adam West for his contributions, but I mean, he's not on the cinema level. Then again, neither is Clooney. Well, he is as an actor, just not as Batman. So you have Kilmer, you have Keaton, you have Bale, and Pattinson. I would probably say Pattinson has a chance to be the best Batman. Because I think the thing with Bale is that while I do like Bale a lot, I think the thing with Bale is that his trilogy and Christopher Nolan's vision were great. But when you really go back and you watch, and maybe people will disagree with me, I really like Batman. I think there needs to be a Batverse. I agree with their vision now. I don't think they need to make it into the Justice League. I think they should cut it out with the DC nonsense and just make it about Batman because he's got enough villains like Spider-Man to make his own universe. So for me, I'll say this. I think that Batman Begins is kind of underwhelming. I don't buy the Scarecrow that much. I didn't think it was that great. It feels like it's not as big And then all of a sudden, after you go from, um, you go from Batman Begins, then they go right into The Dark Knight. And The Dark Knight, I don't care what anyone says, that movie could have been a standalone, original story, and it is Best Picture winner. It is one of the best films ever created. Christopher Nolan's vision in that film, that was very Scorsese-esque. Like, that film has so many things that they do with the camera and how they turn things on its side, so much alliteration. I just think for me, Dark Knight is never going to be beaten. But does that make Bale the best Batman because he was in the best Batman movie? Because in my mind, the reason it's the best Batman film is because you have characters like the Joker. And honestly, I'll just say character like the Joker. I think the Joker makes that film astronomically better than what it would have been if he wasn't in it. And I think the Joker is the reason. It's not, I understand there's people that will say, like, oh, well, you're just saying that because, you know, Heath Ledger passed away and all of that. That's not it. Okay. Heath Ledger's also an incredible actor, or was an incredible actor. And it's really tragic what happened to him. But I mean, the Joker was incredible. He was so good as the Joker. He became the Joker. Okay. And that movie is one of the greatest films you will ever see. It is just done so well. From Hans Zimmer's score, because Hans Zimmer did all the soundtracks for the Batman movies and they were incredible, to Christopher Nolan's vision of Batman, to the darkness of it, the edginess of it. And honestly, Two-Face, the guy that played Two-Face was so good in that. To me, that is the best Batman film. But that does not mean that Bale was the best Batman. I think he was very good, but there were times where I don't think I didn't buy him as much as Bruce Wayne. I bought him more as Batman, if that makes sense. I think Bale, the problem is he looks so much like Nightwing, so it's hard to buy him as Batman, but I think he's going to do an incredible job. And, yeah, I don't think Cillian Murphy was bad as Scarecrow. I don't know. I just felt like it was kind of a weaker script. And honestly, I'll say this. The only thing that hurts Affleck, in my opinion, because I don't think Ben Affleck is I think Ben Affleck is the best Bruce Wayne, to be honest with you. Like, I feel like when you look at Bruce Wayne, Ben Affleck is the best Bruce Wayne. He's not a good Batman, though. I think that's the issue. Is that I think he plays a really good Bruce Wayne. He plays a really good rich billionaire playboy, But I just don't believe that he was the best Batman. Like, I really don't think he was that great. But I also think a big reason why he struggled is because his suit sucked. His look. I think they ruined his look. I don't think they made it good. Plus, they never gave him his own Batman movie to establish him. They just threw him into this really stupid Justice League as a failed attempt to try to sneak up on the Avengers, when in reality, not many people really cared. The Justice League never needed to be made. Okay? It never needed to happen. I mean, I'll say this right now. I think the Zack Snyder cut of the Justice League is good film. I think it was good. But to me, I'm sorry. I do not understand why they did that. I mean, I get like they were trying to compete, but I think DC constantly shows us time and time again that the best way that they can compete with the MCU is simply do their own thing by not competing. You don't want to be direct competitors with Marvel. They will wipe you off the floor. Kevin Feige has every trick up his sleeve. He's going to end you. But if you don't compete with them, you do something that Kevin Feige and now with Disney will not do, and that's come out with rated R type of, edgier, darker films and TV shows, and that's why I like what they did with Peacemaker. It's like why I like what they did with Suicide Squad. It's why I like this really rough and tough, darker, alliteration and, exploration of the new Batman movie. It's why I love Joker. The new Joker movie was so good. I just feel like, to me, that is the thing. Is that DC needs to focus on the darkness. DC needs to focus on stuff that's not kid-friendly. Okay? Here's the thing. DC has plenty of kid-friendly stuff. They can continue to make their cartoons, and they do a good job in doing that, and they make good cartoon movies. People always say DC has way better cartoons than Marvel. You're right, as long as you're not talking about the animated Spider-Man series, which, by the way, is the greatest animated series of all time. That's not including Dragon Ball Z, but I digress. Anyway, my point is that DC needs to stick with this dark and really grueling storytelling with some humor, but not dad and mom and family humor like, the slap type of stuff that, Disney likes to throw in there. No, I'm talking like Peacemaker type humor. They need to continue that. They need to continue to be dark. They need to continue focusing on that because that is their ingredient to success. So it's that simple. But when you look at Marvel needs to stay away from that. Marvel needs to continue doing what they're doing. I mean, I think that they can add, obviously, when you add Blade into the mix, and now that you have Moon Knight, these are going to be darker and more, telling tales. But on top of it, keep this in mind, guys. They're going to add the Netflix Marvel universe to Disney Plus on the 16th. And I'm going to tell you right now, when they do that, that opens up a whole different opportunity there. It's going to be crazy. So, I really feel like the Punisher and Iron Fist, no matter what you guys say, Punisher, Iron Fist, Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, I think they were all great. So, now they're going to be on Disney Plus. We'll see how they tie them in. But, I just rewatched The Punisher with my dad for the most part. I missed a few episodes, but oh my God. Jon Bernthal. Find a better Punisher than him. He is the Punisher. I agree with you. But Aaron, what was the thing about Gotham? Besides that one villain that was the balloon villain, which was stupid, Gotham had the darkness. That is what they're missing. Like, that's what they need to keep doing. They need to continue with being dark and edgy, and that is what Gotham was. So, I love Gotham. I have never finished it. I'm on season 2, and I lost my place, and I thought it was incredible. Especially when they added Cameron Monaghan, as Jerome, aka Joker. It's pretty obvious it's Joker, right? But, or some form of Joker. But I don't know. I just think that that's what they need to do. Nolan, I actually like the guy that they have cast as Danny Rand. I really liked him. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I want Bernthal back well, here's the good thing. Is that here's the real good thing here. Jon Bernthal and Tom Holland are buddies. They've starred in movies together. They're buddies. So here's the thing, okay? They're buddies. Punisher and Spider-Man do not see eye to eye on most things. Obviously, Punisher kills people. Spider-Man doesn't like killing people. So they're going to clash at some point. And I think with, I don't want to spoil it for anybody that hasn't seen the new Spider-Man. Alexis, I see you there. How have I not made you a moderator yet? She just kind of snuck in there. I just think, like, at some point, we got to see Punisher and Spider-Man, Daredevil. I think really what's going to bring the Marvel Netflix universe to the table. Obviously with the help of course, the Hawkeye series. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. But I really feel like, they kind of teased Venom a little bit. I think Venom is going to be in the future Spider-Man. Don't get me wrong. I think it's going to be a different Venom. I think it's going to be Agent Venom, and I think it's going to be Flash Thompson. He might get recast, but it's going to be Flash Thompson. I'll say that right now. But I think they'll go with that angle. Now, what I will say is that with Spider-Man, as far as that goes, they got to continue to put Spider-Man, because Spider-Man has a run-in with Jessica Jones. At one point, they're like a love interest type of deal. He has a run-in with Daredevil, obviously. Daredevil is like a friend of his. The Punisher and him do not get along. I mean, they have their moments, but they really don't get along. He comes in contact with every single one of these guys except for really Iron Fist. I mean, he does come in contact with Iron Fist at some point, but, the Commanders, the CW Flash favorite football team. I liked Hawkeye. You didn't like Hawkeye? You can't get down with the dude? Oh, man. Well, as long as they bring back the his love interest, Colleen Wing, she was a gem, man. She was so good in that. I would love if they brought her back in the MCU, and I believe that they will. I mean, they were gonna give her a role in Shang-Chi, and she turned it down because it wasn't Colleen Wing, but there's a chance. Yeah, the ending could have been better. I understood it though. I felt like DC had solid TV shows like Arrow and Flash. They should have tried to build around that to make up for the lack of movies instead of cramming it all into Justice League. Well, I think that's the issue, is that instead of playing their game, they let Marvel play their game for them. So Marvel basically dictated for a while what, what DC was going to do. Like that was that, you know? And so I think that's a big thing there. Because now you have these ideas and you're like, well, we can't do it because we have to continue to try, compete with Marvel. I mean, I guess the problem is, like, the Justice League was rushed, clearly. Like, they tried to be like, oh, well, we did this, we did that. No, it was rushed. And, the Avengers, the table was set in 2008. So, I mean, like, that's something that they had planned. Again, Kevin Feige, as long as he's with, Disney, no one is going to be able to compete. That's another thing. Well, what's up, Alex? Well, what I'll say about this is, like, this brings new opportunity having the Netflix shows on Disney Plus, because in the US they weren't going to have it. Rumors were that it was going to go to Hulu, and Disney Plus was going to have it on all, in all countries, just not the United States. But now they're talking, well, it's going to happen, and now they'll have a parental control feature. And with that parental control feature, I almost feel like that's them telling us how they're going to allow Deadpool to be in the MCU. So I think Deadpool is going to be in the MCU. But I also think that they can use this multiverse to their advantage. But has anyone noticed, is it just me? Or has anyone noticed that, the MCU and the DCEU started the multiverse at like the same time? I mean, Flashpoint, it's going to be The Flash. That's going to be the movie name. But the multiverse, I mean, why are they starting at the same time? Why did they start this? I feel like DC kind of copied Marvel of when they were going to roll out the multiverse, but I don't know, because they've been working on the Flash, movie for a while. But there's likely a chance that it did. And, I think there's a chance that with the multiverse, we're going to see a lot of these characters cast as certain. Like, for instance, there's all these rumors about Taron Egerton, or Edgerton, however you say his name. And Taron Egerton he plays Eggsy in the Kingsman series. Although he's not in the Kingsman. So let me just make sure that you know what I'm talking about. Anyway. So, yeah, he plays him in the Kingsman series, and he's one of the better young up-and-coming actors. Up-and-coming, I'd probably say he's established now. He played Elton John in Rocket Man. He was incredible. He's rumored right now to play Wolverine. And I don't know how great of a Wolverine he would be. I think there are better roles for him. Personally, I think he could have played Adam Warlock. I think that would have been a nice casting. I also could have seen Zac Efron playing him. But regardless of that, my point, Taron Egerton could be cast as Wolverine. But is that the Wolverine that we'll see in the MCU? Is that an alternate reality Wolverine? See, I think this is a way Marvel can bring in all of these big celebrity actors for cameos and then kind of decide based on how well they're perceived who they should go with. Because, like, honestly, I don't know how they're going to do this whole thing, with the multiverse, but it does offer a possibility for whatever they want to do, whoever they want to bring in, and however they want to do it. So I think that's worth mentioning. Uh, Guys, if you're enjoying this Q&A, be sure to drop a like, give me a thumbs up, and be sure to subscribe also if you haven't already. Yeah, Carl Urban would be great. It's too bad they already wasted him as Scourge. Hopefully they bring him back in a better role. Yeah, I agree with that, Alex. I think that's probably more so the truth. It's funny how it happens, and like no one bats an eye. They're like, oh yeah, the Flash with the multiverse, like right around the time multiverse and Matt. Yeah, you get the whole point. But is it sad that I really don't that care that much about Morbius? I mean, I just don't. I'll see it. I don't know if I'll see it in theaters though. You waited way too long. Like, who really is like, oh, I can't wait for Morbius? Michael Morbius is my favorite freaking character of all time. Like, no. There's a lot of people that don't like him. And there's a lot of people that don't like the fact that he's gimmicky because he is, he's a vampire, And there's people that don't like vampires and werewolves, I mean, that's just the way it works. So, there's some people that love him. There's people that like Salem's Lot and things like that. But, you know, personally, for me, I've never been a huge werewolf and vampire fan. um it's just not really my thing. But Morbius was kind of interesting in the animated Spider-Man series. I didn't really read any of the comics with him, so you know but yeah, we'll see. I mean, that could easily get turned into something with Spider-Man. But it feels weird that like they did all these reshoots and they pushed this back so much because of COVID, and now it's like, you know masks aren't even like, they're not even a thing anymore really where I live in New York. And now all of a sudden it's like Morbius is still like I'm still waiting for them to push it back because of COVID again. Like, I just don't know why we're still pushing back movies and stuff. But yeah, Morbius is not something I'm really that excited for. What's up, Alexis? You excited for your show? She's gonna start her own show, AK Live, and it's gonna be soon. Either I think tomorrow or Thursday. But the multiverse is the perfect opportunity to get out of the Snyderverse fiasco, since it seems like most of the actors won't reprise roles except Flash, of course. What are your top 3 most anticipated shows 2022? For me, it's Obi-Wan, The Boys Season 3, and Moon Knight. I mean, I'll be honest with you, Kareem, you might have just said my top 3. I can't wait for Obi-Wan. That is going to be so sick. Um, well, is The Mandalorian season 3, is that at the end of this year? Because I think that might be, because The Mandalorian, it's gotten to the point where Din Djarin is like my favorite Star Wars character of all time. So I don't know. I might be looking forward to that more. The Boys season 3 is gonna be awesome. Can't wait for that. Season 2, that was something. Season 1 was something, but season 2 was something. The Boys season 3 is definitely gonna be something. And then Moon Knight, guys, that comes out this month. Oh my god, I can't wait. Oh, happy March, by the way. We're flying through 2022. Rams won the Super Bowl, and it was just like, you know, just crazy. I actually liked Venom too, but I hear you there. That's the way it sounds. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm gonna check right now. Um, yeah, it's slated for 2022. Filming began October 21st, or October 21st, October 2021. Development was it started in April 2020. It's going to be December 14th. It looks like it's going to be landing around Christmas time. That's what they're saying. So it's going to be ready for Christmas 2022. That's what they're saying right now. Which it feels like a while, but time is certainly flying by. So that'll be fun. Can't wait for that. Love Pedro Pascal. Yeah, Nolan, you ain't kidding there. AK lurking, yeah. She like says stuff and then she like is like, all right, distance herself in the background, comes back. Hey, just goes back. I'm trying to give her a little plug, and you know, I don't know if she's still watching, but appreciate her stopping by. Oh, Johnny, if I didn't thank you earlier for donating, thank you for donating. Appreciate you. Yeah, I like the Venom movies, but I understand people didn't like how humor driven it was. She's like the Michael Myers mask in the background. Yeah, Din Djarin with the dark saber just feels different. I stand by it. I'm gonna say it. I don't care who likes it. I'm gonna say it. Daniel Radcliffe would be the best Wolverine. He's basically comic book accurate for his stature. He is burly, like he's grown you know, that big beard and everything. He's played he's played roles with like an edge, like, Guns Akimbo. He's the villain in that one movie with Channing Tatum coming out and Sandra Bullock. Um, Now You See Me, Now You See Me Too. You know, I think he has enough of that. He can be a good guy, but now he's played. And this is actually kind of a funny thing, is that we focus so much when a guy plays like a good guy. Like Harry Potter was like the poster boy of the protagonist, right? The good character, the hero. To see him shed that in a way by just playing all of these villain roles was really interesting. Cuz he started it with The Woman in Black. And The Woman in Black is about like he was the father of these kids, and his one kid drank lye and like died. Um and then there was this like Woman in Black character or whatever. She was like the antagonist of the whole story, and there's more to it. I don't remember exactly. I think they made a second one. But the point is, like, he started off with that, and then all of a sudden now he's playing all these like villain roles. And to me, I think he's done a good job with that. So I think with Wolverine, you have to find a way to be good, but also have that edginess. And I feel like Daniel Radcliffe has been doing that, and I think it's the same thing with Pattinson. If you don't think that Daniel Radcliffe could pull this off, then you haven't seen Daniel Radcliffe since Harry Potter. If you don't think Robert Pattinson can be Batman, then you haven't seen him act since Twilight. And I think that's very important. By the way, they were both in Harry Potter, which I find really funny. Um, of course, Robert Pattinson was Cedric Diggory, who does get killed by Voldemort, which was depressing. But the more you know. Johnny, thank you so much for donating. Do I like villain or anti-hero? Anti-hero all the way. To me, Venom is an anti-hero. That is who Venom is. So this villain arc, I just feel like kind of is like weird to me. Like when people are saying that he's going to be part of the Sinister Six, I just don't like he's not on that level. You know what I mean? Like he goes back and forth, you know? Like that's how it works. So, I would say I like him more as an anti-hero. To me, he's kind of similar to Deadpool in that he can do good. He's also not like a great person. Like Eddie Brock isn't like a great person, but you know, although they kind of make him way better of a person in the new movies. I'll say that. Um what position do I think the Rams need to improve the most? Cornerback and interior offensive line, I would say. Jack. That's what I would say. Any plans to go to Vegas? I need cash. I need to cash a Super Bowl bet I made back in June last year. I don't think I'm going to Vegas anytime soon, unfortunately. Okay. Alex, I'm with it. I can dig Radcliffe. Plus, in all honesty, there will never be a perfect casting since everyone will always compare to Jackman, which he earned, but it still gives someone a shot, period. No, I agree with that. And, I think what it comes down to with Jackman, let's not forget, when he was cast, people thought it was crazy because he was this, he wasn't this Hollywood, star, so to speak. He was just this theater guy, he was on Broadway. They're like, they cast that guy as Wolverine. You know, I mean, that came from small beginnings, and he turned himself into like one of the best cast roles. Just think about that. But Travis Kimmel, interesting. Yeah, Harry Potter movies were a moment. All right, guys. Well, we're going to wrap this thing up. I'm going to hop on Elden Ring, and I'm going to be doing some gaming, some streaming on that. Appreciate you guys who stopped by for this Q&A Tuesday night. We'll do another one tomorrow. The one on... I don't know if we're going to do a night Q&A. I think Wednesday we'll have a night one. Thursday we'll do a day one. So, But that'll be that. So, hey, be sure to hit the like button on your way out. Really appreciate you guys. And be sure to go over to my new YouTube channel and give it a subscription. I'm almost at 200 subscribers on the gaming one, but I need your help, obviously, to get there. At 188, it looks like now. So, slowly but surely, obviously, it's not a... it's a marathon, not a sprint, as you guys know from following me from the beginning. But be sure to go over there. I'll be playing Elden Ring for night number 6. It's not going to be right away. I'm going to be setting it up. So probably look at around 9:30, I would say. I'll be live. So head on over to Elden Ring on that channel. And that's where I'll be. So appreciate you guys. I'll be back tomorrow for another Q&A on JE Live, and we'll do once again Elden Ring Night 7. And then Thursday's a little weird because I'm doing some interviews with Alexis Kraft. Her and I are going to be interviewing some prospects coming out of the draft for the Downtown Rams podcast. So I'll let you know about that. But hope to see you guys over there. And even if I don't see you over there, please be sure to subscribe. It really does help. It helps me out big time. So once again, thank you guys so much. Take care, and I'll see you guys soon. Later.